we are going to move on to the next panel, which I'm really excited about because we're going to talk about AR. AR and how to integrate AR, VR into games, new content. This is a kind of entertainment-heavy group, I can tell. And we also have a gamer who's a content creator. So I'm going to go ahead and welcome them out on stage. Caution, Fun, you want to come on out? We'll fill in here.
No.
Yeah. Fill in here. John Wolff, Casimir Patterson. Awesome. Thanks so much, guys. So it'd be great to hear everybody kind of start with your lens. There's a thread, I feel, between all of these, which is super interesting. Casimir, start with you.
Sure. Hi, my name's Casimir Patterson. I've been in this space since 2011, and NFTs and the Ethereum space since 2017. 2019, I started working on a project called Sneaker Cred, and it was based around the idea of being able to go into NBA 2K, buy a pair of sneakers, and take it out of the game as an NFT. And over the past 2 years, I've just been working really closely with a lot of good friends I've actually met here, like John. And now we're collaborating on Sneaker Hunt, which is an AR version of a treasure hunt where you go and you pick up pieces of the sneaker and turn it into an NFT.
Hi, everyone. Hopefully we can make this as engaging as possible. Everyone is here. You guys have made it through 3 days of this conference, so hope this information can be useful. So my name is John Wolff. My background, claim to fame, or whatever the F that might be, made Japan's first blockchain game in 2018 when I was living in Japan. That was some cool stuff. Then came back over to the US and utilized that knowledge. I have had a video game studio for some time, since I was 16. So bridged that knowledge to be able to begin to make video games integrate blockchain, but also extend it over into augmented reality. So was able to get associated with Animoca Brands. They do some cool things, if you might have heard of them. And then as of late, we were able to get kind of partnered up and associated with Niantic, people who made Pokemon Go. So right now we have this really cool racing game that happens in AR that is using the same technology that was made to use Pokemon Go. Yes, there are really cool things like NFT integrations into it because I've been doing that for a while, and some other really cool GameFi stuff. I've worked for other blockchain gaming companies, so would really like to be able to share with you this information of how these things can be blended together, and off to you.
Hey everyone, I'm Caution Fun. Got into the space around 2017. Found NFTs shortly thereafter, about the end of that year. The first use case or application for NFTs that really made solid sense to me was NFTs as in-game items. And longtime TCG player. This gave me a new area to explore, and it's treated me very well. And just excited to be here, chat more about it, and have exciting conversations with people like you that are building the stuff for users like me to explore.
Yeah, it's all about making it fun for players and also for game developers as well.
I have to ask, you have Gods Unchained. We had Robbie Ferguson here earlier. Is that a game of choice for you?
Yeah, absolutely. That was the, I am a professional TCG player. So, when I found Gods Unchained, again, the perfect use case and application. I've played Magic the Gathering in the past, and, buying and selling Magic the Gathering cards is great because I have the autonomy, I have the agency over my in-game items, playing Hearthstone came with its own conveniences as far as transportability and storage and stuff. And, a digital card game where you actually own the in-game assets and you get access to these global permissionless marketplaces. It's the best of both worlds. I get my cake and I eat it too. It's pretty good.
I'd love to know what you think of there's this game called Crypto Spells. But that's for another. I'm gonna tell you about it later. But it's been around for a while. It's a game, and it's been pretty well. Anyway,
I'm glad you brought up Ravi though. I was at the IMX after party last night. Chatting with him and his brother. They're co-founders of Immutable, layer 2 scaling solution, gasless marketplace. It's a godsend for anybody trading high volume of items. And when you're trading 10-cent cards, you can't trade them on Ethereum mainnet. Gas fees are going to be 100x the price of the asset. So, yeah, really appreciate what they're doing over there.
It kind of actually leads into a little bit of our topic, because we were talking about Immutable X backstage for a second. But, I can go ahead and talk about this unless there's a specific question you wanted to fire off. because we were given this title of how NFTs will alter a stale 90 billion yearly industry. Even to us, that was kind of a little bit confusing. So we were like, all right, how do we break this down? And you were mentioning, okay, like, you know, you saw the 90 billion yearly industry as the game industry in and of itself, right? And it's kind of funny because if it's $90 billion a year, it doesn't really sound stale to me. But still, you know, like, it's what are the blockchain initiatives that are happening in AAA, or rather in large games? And it's really cool because I'm not sure if a lot of people know about this Immutable X association that they have with GameStop, in which they have this marketplace that's coming out. And this is not to, you know, shill their project or anything, but I think it's really interesting to see that they're taking it to the next level. And there's various industries or partners that are trying to make this kind of stuff happen. So GameStop wants to get into the blockchain industry. Okay, who do they decide to use? Well, they decide to partner up with Immutable X to be able to have a marketplace. But to put that on its head, though, is also, to me, from my experience of trying to be associated with this GameStop marketplace, I'm like, yo, I'm a game developer. I love GameStop. Put my stuff on there. They really want your project to be like that AA, AAA status. So it's interesting that there are those partners, but they do have their own type of credentials in which you have to be one of those players in that $90 billion industry. But that's just something I thought was really interesting and cool.
Yeah, that's great. I'd love to hear more about Sneaker Hunt. I know that your demo was out yesterday. You've got a game coming out.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. Give us some hints.
So, I mean, the story comes back to NFT.NYC in 2020. I had just got into an incubator through Insight. I was part of the Decentralized Consensus Fellowship, where I had hacked together Sneaker Cred. And, you know, they funded us, gave us like stipends to build out an MVP. And during that process, NFT.NYC was in February, and we launched the beta version. And it, you know, started a bidding war. People were buying and selling, you know, sneaker collectibles on Ethereum. And during that time, I think Ethereum maybe was like $250. So came here to NFT.NYC, met John, and, you know, the next year, 2021, we had just started working with, I had knew Brian Dale from the incubator from Niantic, so John and I were talking about the RFPs for Niantic, and they have this Black Developer Initiative program, which John's part of. And we just started riffing, you know, at the VIP Speaker Center. It was like, hey, you know, what's going on, man? What do you got going on? It's like, what do you got going on? I was like, well, why don't we collab? Why don't we work something out? So after NFT.NYC last year in December, we did like a one-day hackathon, and we just decided to say, what if we just like remixed our two projects? Like, what if we put sneakers on the pigs on Tontachi? So we did this hackathon in like, you know, maybe like 6 hours. We had put, you know, sneakers on pigs. So, you know, we started figuring out, okay, so we got like, you know, this kind of prototype. It's kind of kooky, but, you know, it's fun.
Kooky is good in NFTs.
And, you know, a little bit while later, another DJ crypto group I'm part of with Solana was like, hey, you know, you should talk to Matt Sorg. And, you know, they set it up. And we had the meeting end of March. And we've just been, like, building in the past 2 weeks of, you know, what the concept behind it is, that there's this generative aspect of sneaker genetics. And, you know, initially there's this customization module where you can go in and we take the hexadecimal color codes of like NBA, NFL, and NCAA teams, and then we put them on the different panels. So you got laces, you got the logo, you got serial number, vamp, the sole, and the uppers. So essentially the game is where you go around New York, and there's different places around town based off of the weight spots in Niantic's Lightship and the Wayfarer app, and you're able to put the pieces of the shoe together in real time.
Awesome. Yeah, and also you played basketball. You've put some things into this game that are super cool for
you know,
actual players. Tell us about
growing
that.
up I'm from Chicago, so you know, I grew up during the 90s. Michael Jordan was like the king of the world. And, you know, Jordan sneakers were like, everybody had them. Like, you know, as soon as they came out, everyone was waiting in line. So a lot of times I just would remix my kicks. So I just would buy paint. You know, my mom and I, we would like draw together and paint and stuff. My mom's really creative and stuff. So I just took those two things that I really was in love with. Playing sports, playing basketball as a kid was like my favorite pastime, and playing video games and stuff like that, like Mario Brothers. Like I got the little Mario Brothers star. And I just felt like there needed to be some type of integrations, whether, you know, NFTs are gonna, you know, become immersive into the other industry of gaming, because like John was mentioning before, there's this new aspect of NFT gamers. So I feel as if, you know, people within the gaming industry that have an affinity for blockchain would like to be able to go into NBA 2K, you know, create some kicks, and then be able to own those kicks outside the game. So that was pretty much what.
It would be interesting to see how.
Right.
Well, actually, then there's another destabilization, right? Is because Flow has NBA Top Shot, which has been out for a minute, but again, you know, there's more brands who are trying to enter into the blockchain video game space, and they find these partners in order to do that. So, you know, this is the follow-up right there.
You seem to be a little bit of a glue that's bringing people together here. Tell us more about that. I can just tell from what you said that you're doing a lot to bring people into the space. What's going on?
To bring people into the space? No, I'm not exactly sure. I mean, it's just the recognition of Kashmir being an OG, and I mean, you already mentioned exactly how this came to be. But the beauty of the technology is that it is a glue, right? I mean, you have blockchain technology that's able to bring people together, bring projects together, and interoperability is one word. I'm sure it's been said a bunch of this during this conference. But you know, we did a really cool collaboration with Axie Infinity where we had one of, again, you mentioned pigs, but it's because the game that we have is called Tontachi, which stands for pigs or pig friends in Japanese, and so that's why there's pigs.
With shoes.
Yeah. But so we had, you know, collaborations with like CryptoKitties and Axie Infinity. But again, it's just the ability to be able to use the technology to do these kind of cool things. That's what brings all of us together in the end, is our interest in being gamers, and then how do we pour that into this technology in of itself. Kashmir brought up a good point that there are really, I feel like there will be an emerging class of gamer, because some gamers have no real interest in blockchain games, right? You know, why fix something that isn't broken, and they enjoy the experience? A lot of people like to say, they're like, oh, gamers are waiting for their own time to be able to make their money. They're not. I, as a game developer, am, because monetization strategies for video games are very, very archaic. So it's beautiful that blockchain and NFTs or in game economies are able to give game developers another avenue to be able to make money. It's very important, because making games is not easy. But you'll have regular gamers, and you'll have blockchain gamers, who are going to be individuals who want to take part of all these experiences. And you know, just like you were saying, is like that's exactly what you enjoy. It's having your cake and eating it too, being able to play the exact game, but also having that. I mean, you're a perfect example of, you know, the forthcoming class of gamer, in my opinion, or blockchain gamer, in my opinion.
No, and it's refreshing to hear you speak from a perspective of like using NFTs as an additive technology, like not using it as the primary focus. Like I see a lot of gaming projects, especially lately, you know, have one or more tokens, fully fleshed out tokenomics, economics before the actual, like, you know, alpha has even
game,
launched, you know? Yeah. And, you know, the primary incentive to play your game can't be the prospect of earning money or, you know, getting a return on your investment. That's just a job. It's got to be a fun game, you know, that undercurrent of organic demand, because people want to be entertained. Like, this industry didn't get to $90 billion paying any mind to, you know, no tokens, no worries about providing a path to a return on your investment for their users. In fact, they were leaning mostly the opposite way, the more extractive than anything. So, you know, yeah, just, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I found when I was, you know, doing a lot of the research for Sneaker Cred with the NBA 2K models of their virtual currency. So they have a virtual currency, but it's not crypto. And then, you know, all of the different in-game purchases, there is a lot of complaining about, the way that it's extractive, like the model's extractive. So that's why I targeted NBA 2K initially, besides the fact that they had like you can go in there and go to a store and just buy sneakers. Like that's its own game in and of itself. So, I had just thought about that as a way to create like a more two-way street, and that's what decentralization provides. And like that's the cool thing about NFTs that really got me interested early on, in 2017, 2018.
One of the big themes today has been this mismatch in timing. So game development, and I have more traditional background in games, and it takes a long time, and like you said, it's really hard to make games. The crypto cycles can be really fast. People, are just like in and out of tokens. And so, I would love your perspective on how you continue. How do you think about continuing this engagement and keeping people engaged and keeping gamers, interested as you're continuing to develop great games?
Well, I guess that's live ops, right? Is how do you keep it, on and popping? And one of the cool things when I was working for these blockchain game companies in Japan, but also gaming companies in Japan in general, that's their bread and butter. Like every single week, you'd have to kick out some new characters or have a new campaign, and to get your players to always have something to do. So that's something that, and that's a grind. Oh my God, that's very unhealthy for the developers in of themselves. But that's kind of what that's what you do the same thing for blockchain games, in which you come up with new characters. Specifically in, our game Tontachi, we're trying to have IRL events because it's an augmented reality game, and you have races that happen in real space with in real time. So, if all four of us had this game on our phone, we could end up having an actual race. We want to be able to extrapolate that, so then we're able to have live races in actual locations. You go to Times Square and you go over there, and everyone's gonna be able to see the race on their phone, or the race on their phone. Their pig running around, going on all these crazy places, and so then you just keep on having that happen in various areas. So. The answer is still very traditional, I think, to games, in which it's just what aspects are you going to create for additional content and events to enliven your audience. But I guess the added bit for blockchain specifically is what is the further utility of the NFTs? Is that going to be in other games, game A, B, or C? And if it's a token, then what can you do with it? We have a little cool gacha thing, so you put the token in there and you ka-cha, and then that's what gacha means, ka-cha, and out pops some random items. So you have to have the term is sinks and faucets when you have game economies. So you need to have faucets of when you're having your assets come in, whether it be the NFTs or the tokens, and then you have to have the sinks in which they're coming out. So either it's a burn mechanic or it's some other avenue where you're able to use the NFTs or the tokens. So for blockchain games, it's you mastering the art of sinks and faucets. And if you're interested in that, you can definitely search that term, blockchain game, and there's a great Medium article. I forgot who wrote it. I hope that kind of answered your question.
Yeah, definitely. It's great. You talked about this, the experiential piece of NFTs, and what I'm so excited about is that NFTs take the skin beyond just the thing. It's multi-dimensional ownership. It keeps unlocking new experiences, and that's really interesting. You both talked about AR, and I don't know if you've been involved in AR at all. Do you think AR takes the NFT to even another dimension? Are you seeing a lot of development here?
I've played Pokemon Go a bit, but past that, I'm gonna let him handle this one.
And that's where the concept came from, is what if we can have Sneaker Craig Go? And that's how John and I basically riffed off of that and came up with Sneaker Hunt. So it's essentially, this treasure hunt where you go and you search the pieces of the sneaker, and it's really cool because you see the piece of the sneaker and it's kind of floating there, and then you turn around and it's oh shit, it's another piece, and sometimes there might be competing pieces that might pop up, but by the time everything comes out and is fully launched in October, things will be pretty polished.
So AR tech, it's so funny because all NFTs are looking for utility in the end, right? You can't just have it be a PFP. You can't just have it be static. So then a lot of projects are okay, we're going to make a game, which kind of hurts if you're a game developer because you're just going to arbitrarily say you're going to make a game and you have no experience about how to make a game. But, more power to you. Get at it. But then also, and this is so funny because I think this is the year that it came And I thought it was going to happen in 2022 when people were finding augmented reality to be the application for their NFTs if they are 3D to give you more experiences. And now there's a lot of projects. A lot of people were in Times Square doing something. There were events yesterday in which people were having augmented reality scavenger hunts. So everyone wants to do an augmented reality scavenger hunt. We're no different. We're just trying to do it, authentic and cool because we feel like we can. But yeah, I mean, AR and VR, these XR technologies are going to obviously give more utilization to the digital assets that we have. But since they're forthcoming, AR just is a very easy one because it's applicable on your phone. You still have to find out how to be able to get it into your phone, the NFT that is, which is more or less easier now, harder before. But it's a great avenue. It really is. I mean, games is one, AR is another. Who knows what'll be next? This is the only thing I'll say as the smallest plug, because it only came out 2 days ago. But there's a Netflix series called The Future Of, and one of the episodes is The Future of Gaming. And your boy happens to be in there talking.
John's on Netflix.
Exactly,
He's famous,
this
guys.
thing. I mean, it was just cool. I didn't know it was going to come out. They were like, "Hey, this is out," and I was like, "Holy shit, this is wild." But if you're interested
awesome.
about augmented reality and the future of gaming, I would just recommend it because it was actually a really well done episode. But I apologize.
And to piggyback off of that, the point you made about being able to experience the game on your phone, I think is really poignant, really key, because that's one of the trip ups we've been having in blockchain. Is like most things, are kind of limited to, just the web. You have to experience it, either in your laptop or computer. It's difficult to have experience on your phone. So, having the ability to partner with like Solana, they're gonna make a huge announcement. So I'm not gonna spoil it, but a little bit, if you read between the lines, like, you're going to be able to like experience games like ours on Sneaker Hunt, for example, with your phone natively, with the ability to have wallets, cryptographically secure with your thumbprint and so forth, and it's gonna really revolutionize the game. So
this will be the last thing I say, because again it goes to this title, is how do you make that happen? What is that? And so this is great, because what is that bridge? Because that 90 billion yearly industry, I think that still in video games, the largest grossing platform is mobile. It is still mobile, and that's a hard fact. So how do NFTs revolutionize or make it less scale, even though I still think that number's not a stale number, is that you have to integrate the mobile aspect. And then once that happens, then you're really onto a whole nother new realm where you're getting casual gamers, hyper casual gamers. But that's the glue. I think that's the answer that we're looking for then of how that occurs.
And agreed.
Yeah, I'd love to hear your perspective. I mean, a lot of the ideas that you guys have talked about are really, really exciting. But at the end of the day, gamers right now, in this very moment, are pretty skeptical of NFTs and pretty skeptical of crypto, because gamers have had people trying to get money from them their whole lives, right? It's just one money grab after the other, and it's like, get that money thing out of my game. I just want to have fun. Are you seeing any other cool ideas that are going to bring more people in? I mean, you're already talking about some, but...
Well, I think that, there's going to be a new generation of gamers, piggybacking off of what John was pointing out, that they're going to grow up natively in crypto and blockchain. And even their parents are, at some point going to be natively introducing them to these things because they're probably playing it. Like, for example, it was a kid yesterday giving a talk at the Edison, and he was like 12. And, he gave this great presentation, and you can just see his future projected out ahead of him. By the time he's 24, he's probably going to be giving all types of, TED Talks and NFT talks. And then, for example, there was another guy who, was giving a talk at the Marriott. No, it was at the Radio City Music Hall. And he was talking about himself being, a 42-year-old, but he's a 12-year-old kid inside because of the, he still enjoys these like toys. So, I think that in the future there's gonna be, NFT gamer native kids, and it's gonna start off as like this small little community of kids and parents, and it's gonna like become mainstream, and then it's gonna, have like a little, three-pronged circle where you got NFTs, gaming, and something else, whatever that's going to be, because we're still figuring out what the space is. Like, NFTs maybe have been around for about a good, strong 5 years, but we really don't know how it's going to develop yet because hardware's got to catch up. there's so many things that still need to be invented.
No, yeah, I mean, again, for me, NFTs as in-game items was just the most obvious use case that I could think of. As soon as the information I needed about NFTs was put in front of me. That said, if I hadn't started looking into Bitcoin in earnest when I did, that information wouldn't have been put in front of me when it was. So, I think, yeah, NFTs are the most obvious path to onboarding the next, millions and millions of crypto users. It's just a matter of education. There's a lot of misinformation out there. Unfortunately, as a content creator, the algorithm doesn't really favor honest and transparent content. It's the same as any other social media, any other space. The most provocative content gets the best metrics, and so I'm not really sure how to change that. If you can figure that out, power to you. But in the meantime, yeah, just I guess getting the right information from the right people in front of this $90 billion target addressable market, and the rest should take care of itself. It's really obvious once you know what you need to know.
Yeah, well said.
Yeah. So, John, you got to give us a little preview of the Netflix show. What were some of the pearls of wisdom out of that? And future of gaming is a big topic. What did you talk about?
Oh, I don't know. It's just immersive technologies and not spending actually too much time in them. Be sure you're coming out of them and enjoying actual reality in of itself was probably more of what we're getting at. So you can see beautiful things in your world, but don't forget what you're actually looking at. I think that's kind of was the drive of this talk. And just I hope this was kind of random. Again, I hope people found some value in what we kind of had to talk about and say here. But please feel free to follow up with any of us. We're all pretty open.
I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Telegram, Ask Casimir, Casmir, and go to sneakerhunt.io and sign up for our waiting list for when the game drops.
Awesome. Thank you all so much.
Yes,
Thanks
so
Thank
much.
you.
That was great.
Thanks for your time, guys. Appreciate it.
Give these over there.
Mr. Ferguson is back.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
So you're going to introduce Robbie